There was this one time I was in a drive-through line and the lady in front of me paid for my meal. I felt very blessed that day, and that's the same way I felt after watching this movie. Hey, thanks for checking out EskimoTV. My name is Jason Escamilla. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a wonderful story about Miles Morales, who is the Spider-Man of this universe that we are watching, and he actually ends up teaming up with other Spider-Man characters from other universes, Peter Parker being one of them. This movie does so many things right. It has great pacing, an interesting plot, fleshed out and defined characters, a great twist, and I really enjoyed this movie. This is a really good, wonderful treat, and might be the best movie out this holiday season. The animation in this movie is beautiful. It has a very unique comic book look to it. You can tell that they definitely put a lot of time and thought as to how they wanted this to look. And it really is original. I haven't seen anything very similar to this. When you look at animation movies nowadays, a lot of them look very similar with the way the 3D graphics are and the textures. This felt like it had its own thing. And I'm a big fan of Spider-Man because growing up, I loved watching the 90s cartoon. I watched it every day when I got home from school, and I was kind of excited to see a Spider-Man movie that was animated, and I wondered how it would look, and I felt like they did a really good job with the details on everything. I love just random comic book pow-wows, the thought bubbles and mind think bubbles that pop up on the characters throughout this movie. I felt like that felt very genuine as Spider-Man is a comic book character, and this felt like a comic book coming to life. I like the character Miles Morales. I think that he's a newer Spider-Man that we have not seen on screen, more recently developed in the comics. And I was a bit skeptical about a new Spider-Man. I'm used to Peter Parker, but I think that they did a really tremendous job at fleshing this character out. The other Spider-Man characters in this movie are quite interesting as well. They weren't fleshed out as much as our main character is, but that's expected, and that didn't really bother me too much. I do think that this movie doesn't have as big of a punch as I wanted. It has a punch, but with all of the hype, this for a long period of time having a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, people saying this was the best superhero movie of the year, I was a bit nervous because I couldn't help but have high wall expectations for this. And while this definitely hit some high expectations, and I definitely really love this movie and I enjoyed it, this might make my top 10, but it'll be on the bottom end of the top 10 if it makes it. It's right now flowing on spots 8, 9, 10. So this was not like my favorite movie of the year, but I do think that this is the best animated film of the year. I think it's really good. I think you should definitely go check it out in theaters. I think kids are going to love it. Parents are going to love it. Teenagers are going to love it. It's a good family film. There's not really any super scary dark parts. You might not want to take little kids, but I think that the majority of audiences will really like this movie. The music in this movie was a wonderful listen. I specifically like Post Malone's Sunflower song. I've been listening to it on repeat since it came out on Spotify. I love it. It's catchy. My only complaint is that it's a little short. I wish it was longer because I can jam to some Post Malone and his Sunflower song. I think he made a great track that fits the film very appropriately. This film also has some really good humor. I thought that there was lots of moments where I was laughing out loud, and I think that it does a good job of balancing those comedic moments with the serious moments that we are having to get invested in. There's a lot of serious moments, there's a lot of dark moments in this movie, but there's a lot of good comedic relief that is very well placed, and I didn't feel like there was too many jokes that bombed. I felt like that most of what this movie wanted to do, it did it, and it did it very well. This is probably my favorite Spider-Man since Spider-Man 2, which has always been my favorite one. If you have not seen Spider-Man 2, the one with the train sequence, that is one of my favorite superhero movies ever. And this is probably my second favorite, right next to Homecoming. I would have to say maybe this is a hair higher than Homecoming, which I also really liked. But this was good. This was enjoyable. A really great and solid Spider-Man film. I'm going to give Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse an A-. I love talking about movies, but one thing I love more is talking about movies with you. So leave a comment if you have an opinion or a question that you'd like to share regarding Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. You can also follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at EskimoTV. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and subscribe for more icy and chilly Eskimo TV reviews.